We have had a very useful consultation as Wiper Democratic Movement this evening, culminating in our decision to exit NASA and welcome a new formidable coalition.
We still hold that NASA is the past. To further demonstrate this point, the National Executive Committee of ODM has today resolved to formally exit the NASA coalition. The NEC has further deliberated on the future of the party and its need to make new friends. We intend to embark on a program to build new partnerships and extend the ongoing talks with our potential partners to the grassroots.
All right, so Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka there, and of course the SG of ODM, Edwin Sifuna, both of them basically saying the same thing. They are withdrawing from NASA, and you add the two votes, as it were, with that of ANC, the three-party threshold is met, Francis, to basically render NASA non-existent, as it were. A very interesting turn of events at a time when there's been this argument about the political parties fund, that ODM is keeping all the money. Then suddenly we are told that now, you know, Wiper and these other parties can actually get some little money. But then people basically leaving the NASA house.
It is interesting that the exit from NASA, those exiting NASA are joining something else. Sounds interesting. More or less like what we saw, the mutation from CORD to NASA, now to something else. But what is also important to note is that they have said they are withdrawing from NASA, that NASA is in the past, it's history. But now there's a process of making it history properly, legally, formally. Writing to the Registrar of Political Parties and confirming that they have exited. It is important to note that none of them so far has written to the Registrar of Political Parties, at least for now. Maybe they will, to formalize that exit. And once they formalize that exit, what next? There's the One Kenya Alliance that Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, Moses Wetangula, and Gideon Moi have been speaking about. I also saw it interesting yesterday that KANU said that it still has a coalition agreement working agreement with Jubilee. And actually the bite is here. Just listen to it.
Kiona viongozi wengi, na ndio viongozi Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, Wetangula, tukishirikiana hata Right Honorable Raila Odinga, tukishikana sisi zote, tukiunga mkono BBI, tukiunga mkono unity and inclusivity of all, tukiunga mkono mambo ya prosperity for Kenya, justice, tukijua kwamba kusukuma nchi letu la Kenya lazima sisi zote tukue pamoja.
Interesting that KANU says it still has a coalition agreement with Jubilee, and there's also talk of Jubilee working on something with ODM. So house of cards, if I may call it, the games continue, but it is important to note that there are some certain dominant and factors at play. Initially, it was CORD that had Kalonzo, that had Raila, and then we go to NASA that had Kalonzo, Raila, Mudavadi, Wetangula. Now we have One Kenya Alliance that has Mudavadi, Kalonzo, Wetangula, and Gideon. And that big coalition that you keep seeing being spoken about that may have all of them. Did you even notice that as Wiper was saying it is exiting NASA, it said it is also welcoming Raila Odinga into the new formation? Same things, if I may look at it that way.
And yes, Jamila.
Yes, he's talking about same things. And for me, I look at it from 2013. when NASA, they came, 2017, they came together before the general elections, they were so formidable that they ended up getting, I think, about 6 million votes, Raila Odinga as a presidential candidate. Like, all the way back, I remember, to the Supreme Court, elections were nullified. So they were really, really a strong coalition. Remember, in 2013, of course, Raila Odinga was in CORD, and you talked about who formed CORD. But then now, NASA, with all this impetus, with all this support, and having the elections nullified, and of course, Raila chose not to participate in the second round of elections. But then now I think, some may ask, why did the rain start beating NASA? Some may say it could have been because during the swearing in of Raila Odinga as the people's president, because remember, I think he was the only one who showed up.
Yeah, they said that even
They
today,
said that, yes, the other three didn't. And then now comes the handshake, I think, which caught all the other NASA principals flat-footed. They did not expect it. And then Raila Odinga is there with the president. They are left as spectators. And then we see NASA parties fielding candidates in December elections. And then we have this push and pull about money, political parties. I think they've already agreed on some amount of money that ODM is going to give the other parties. But then if you look at all these factors that instead of that is pulling them apart, there's nothing that is bringing them together, if you look at all the factors that I've mentioned. So, of course, the next step is watu waende. But as you've mentioned, it needs to happen like officially. Tumepeleka makaratasi ndio hii, tumeachana as a party, as a coalition, kila mtu aende njia yake. But then kila mtu aende njia yake, chances are watakutana kwingine tena, as you've mentioned, because it's the same players. We keep saying same script, different cast. I think it's same cast, different election.
But probably they'll meet again under new terms and conditions.
Maybe a different presidential candidate.
Terms of engagement, yeah.
And Linus, it is interesting what they're saying about meeting elsewhere, because all of them have pledged their support for President Uhuru Kenyatta, including Raila Odinga, who is not part of the One Kenya Alliance, which is where all these people say they are going. And they are all around President Kenyatta, and yet there is an election next year, and somehow that group, either jointly or in some form or other, will need to be involved in the election. And President Kenyatta has said many times that he wants to see a certain kind of formation. He has ideas of what kind of succession he wants to see. In other words, one would even imagine that where he is, here he has wishes about who or what kind of person he wants to succeed him, and most likely that person coming from this group of discordant individuals as things stand now. So you don't want to be President Kenyatta right now with all these noises about people who are supposedly your friends, but they don't seem to agree on things, and yet on the other side they have the deputy president who appears, at least at the moment, to have all these ducks lined up in a row, just waiting to hear who's coming on the other side.
So, Joe, trying to process those announcements, it's a bit like listening to a tortoise announcing that it's leaving its shell. You know, the head comes out, and because where are they going? This is really the first step towards changing the name of NASA, the same way the name of CORD, that was the coalition under which almost all those leaders except Gideon Moi were together in 2013. 2017, they called themselves NASA. And now they're beginning the process of renaming the same organization. Let me put it this way. If it were not for ego and personal political ambitions and self-interest among the leaders, Kenya is actually a closet two-party state. Look at how far they go. Because in those announcements, none of them has spoken about substantive policy differences between their leaders and their counterparts within the coalition. What really divides them is, first of all, money. Now, there was that issue of
proceeds from the political parties fund.
Yes, which I think is an excuse. But the main reason really is who should be president. Yeah. Because all of them want to become candidates. And they're all looking for endorsement from President Uhuru Kenyatta. And the other day, the Deputy President, William Ruto, tongue-in-cheek, said, these adults are taking a lot of time from the president, waiting for the president to organize them. And it actually looks a bit like that. It looks a bit like, if you look at the trip to Kambani, if you look at where was the other one?
Nyanza.
To Nyanza.
And now
another one is coming up in Western.
There's a bit of that in which they seem to have chosen President Kenyatta to be their prefect and overseer, tell us what to do. And what they really want to hear from him is, pick me.
Yeah.
Pick me, not the other guy, which is a very sad state of affairs. Because what this means is, in the same way right now we have a weak government formed by a fractured coalition party that has broken, Jubilee, what used to be URP and TNA. Now you have DP, Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta looking in the opposite directions. That is exactly what we should expect because of this kind of foundations. One Kenya Alliance, NASA, and then there is a bit of Jubilee, each one of them claiming to have an alliance of sorts. This already, if it's not attended to, will actually be just like another TNA URP arrangement in which somewhere down the line we'll have Tanga Tanga and Kieleweke within, which is very destabilizing.